Okay, we should be live, and I'm gonna kill the music.
All right.
Okay. So turn that down. Very, very professional. And I got my Xbox going in the background trying to update itself. It always picks the best times. So here we are. It's Quanrian with Mr. O'Jewel. I know I'm not saying your name properly.
I guess that's me.
I would change your name.
Hello, everyone.
It's,
How are you
it's,
guys
not, it's
doing?
not two
Maybe.
words. It's not two words, and you are shiny. There you go. We're gonna meme you to start off.
Oh,
We already got Freckled in there because he's an. I'll try not to respond to people in the chat. It's gonna be hard, but all right. So you are here today to
yeah.
humor my whimsy. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. Some personal, some professional. We already went over these, so you're aware. There's no hidden daggers here, as it were. Not this time.
Yeah, that's very kind of you. That was very kind of you.
Yeah. There's no like ninjas that are gonna pop out. I put my cats away, so that's they'll take everything out all at once. All right. So obviously you've been doing. Well, actually, why don't you just start by telling everybody what it is that you do at Mercury Steam, because you've got a particular position and there's stuff that you do. So go
Yeah,
ahead
that's
and explain
actually
that.
like a really great question because sometimes, me myself, I ask
Yeah,
myself
like,
the
what the
same
hell do I
question.
do?
The thing,
what,
exactly.
what
In
did
my
I get
life, yeah.
myself into?
No, the thing is that my name is Hermano Joel, and I am a technical game designer for Mercury Steam. And basically, what that means is that I'm like half programmer, half gameplay programmer, and half designer. So I'm one of the, as an example of sorts, one of the main tasks that I've been doing is like mission design and mission programming, and trying to get everything together so that missions feel like actual missions and not just like like dif- and how to say it, like
Not so much like
uh,
variations of each other.
separate the dots. Like it's like they give me like different dots, like narrative, or this shooting that has to be done here, and nothing really fits. So my part of my job is making everything fit. But besides that task, besides that mission development, I do many other stuff like bug fixing because I'm a programmer of sorts too, and I do some design stuff like Epic Forge stuff, like the next update. Some of the parts of the design of the new Forge I also worked in. So it's kind of like a hybrid between like a game designer and a game programmer.
Oh,
This is
okay.
what I do. Really hard to explain. That's why I asked
Yeah.
myself, right, what is it that I do?
Well, because even when people like hear a position in a company, it's very hard for them to imagine, if they haven't already done it themselves, what exactly like all the game design elements entail. So besides all of that, we're all aware of your, because you tweeted it like a fool, that you play the guitar. So how long have you been into that, and so like what's your interest in that? Like what got you into playing the guitar? It's like sort of like a personal interest.
Yeah, I got into electrical guitar like when I was in high school, and the thing is that I was like super bad and clumsy when it came to my hands and the way that you have to put your hands around the guitar. But the thing is that I don't know. We were like teenagers, and in my class, some of the um, weird kids. We were not the cool kids, but we were
So you're
on the
like,
weird
I'm
side,
not so
because
popular. I'm just gonna play guitar. No one
it
told
was
you the
just the
saxophone was the
popularity.
popular kid instrument.
No,
That is
but
an
but
American thing, maybe.
somehow I already like oh, like, oh, these guys are getting into guitar. I really like the idea, you know. But at the beginning, it was just like trying. But then over time, I realized I really liked it. So I kept it as an ongoing hobby. So that actually it came when I was like years before, you know, and you come back to from work or university or whatever that you're doing, and you come back home. The first thing that I would do is like grab the guitar, like an acoustic guitar or something, and try to play something. It would get so much stress out of me. So it became like this kind of thing that I do in order to disconnect from, you know, like either issues or work or, you know, I don't know, whatever that's bothering me. So it really helped me. It began as a super stupid, you know, teenager thing, like super, I don't know, just it was kind of like a little. I mean, I was a bit of a poser because I was super bad. But yeah, over time it became more like that. So it's a for me it's a really great hobby, especially because I'm not standing in front of a screen. Watching live.
Yes, it's good to disconnect. We're so connected to everything these days. We walk
Yeah,
around
like
with their cell phones in our hands, and we're very we're like a hop and a skip away from being cyborgs at this point, or maybe we already are.
exactly,
Who knows?
exactly.
We're so
I work
used to
with
it.
screens.
It's
I play games in my spare time, so I'm always looking at screens. Afterwards, I gotta watch the series or whatever everyone's telling me to watch. So at the end of the day, I feel like there's like too much screen time in my life. So guitar also pulls me out of that. So it's really great. I really
Yeah, we
recommend it.
uh we we opted out of the video in this. It's like I couldn't get that to work. So you got a free pass on the. You didn't even
That's
have
the
to. You
reason.
didn't have to fix your hair. You didn't have to do your.
You're
You
so
know, do
sweet.
any makeup or anything. So oh shoot! I forgot to do the thingy. Here we go. Boom. They like the anime girl. You'll catch this later. So
Okay, I'll see what was that about.
there. So that's gonna be their impression of me. So of course I did not tell you, but I'm a redheaded, pigtailed anime girl, obviously. So.
Okay, I really didn't know that. That was unexpected. But
Space Lords. It's a weird place. So I like to think to the future, and obviously I see kids and I see what they're doing, and I can't help think that like this great sugar wars is gonna happen. This is something I
the
think
sugar
about too much. Yes, the great sugar wars of 2025. Anybody in my chat will tell you I talk about this way too much. So
yeah.
with all the kids being obsessed with sugar, they're gonna grow up and they're gonna go mad crazy for all this sugar. So what would you do? What would you do with like this? Sounds crazy, right? Like wow, people getting obsessed over sugar, like to the degree where they're like going out like zombies. Like how would you survive in this world where just like everybody is just super obsessed with sugar and they're just going out and they just need it and that like supplants like everything else in their life.
Actually, I think I'm really well prepared,
You're well
and I think
prepared.
no, really, I think many of the people that is probably like watching this stream right now is actually really well prepared because in my mind, you know, Aleph kind of like some kind of metaphor of sugar. You know, everyone's fighting over Aleph, so
Yeah,
I kind of feel like
I
we
think
are ready into you know, like the broken planet and everything is kind of like a metaphor of the upcoming sugar wars. So
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think we're ready. So
Only
no need
five
to
more
worry.
years too to prepare fully, and then that's it. And all the kids will be grown up enough, and they're all start like all those angry little kids in stores. They're gonna be grown up and just trying to find all the sugar they can get their hands on.
Yeah,
No, no,
overloaded
no.
with sugar. Look at me, just overloaded with sugar.
No, Claude's trying to move it ahead to 2025, 25. No, no, no. It's 2025. We've only got five more years.
It's good.
Oh, it's coming, yeah. All right, so obviously there's a huge art community involved with Space Lords. Also, Raiders of the Broken Planet. It's the whole expanse of the development. Like obviously, did you all ever expect that it would grow quite so much? Because I mean, it astounds me sometimes just how many artists are doing art for the game, and just how much it keeps expanding and expanding, and more people keep getting inspired. And are there any artists within the community or without the outside of the community that you feel have had an influence on you? Just like you saw their stuff and you're like, wow, this is changing the way I'm thinking or seeing things.
It's actually I'm like super surprised too because in all the games that I worked before, and also I think compared to many other games that Mercury's team as a company developed, for some reason, Spacelords has like this huge artist following, and there's like so many fan arts. You know, like at the beginning, I was like, oh, we were all like, oh, there's been some fan arts, but now it's like there's so many coming on, and I've seen so much. I I I I I remember a few instances that really surprised me. Like I remember when Raiders of the Broken Planet became Space Lords, there was like this uh, kind of like a comic series of illustrations. You know, there was this place like a comic book, and they were like the different characters like making like jokes about the rebranding, and I think Yune was like speaking to a stone, you know, in the ground or something like that, trying to get some information about Space Lords, the upcoming release of a Space Lords. I really remember that as a really funny one, and that was extremely well drawn and well thought as a comic itself. It was super surprising, and there's been also like I don't know why, but I feel like there's like a lot of art fan art involving Hythe, you know, the character, and I've seen so many crazy Hive illustrations that displays her with Doldren in a romantic way or something like that, and I don't know why I never united these two characters in my mind. So it really surprised me. It really got me. And also there was this user that was like kind of making like a fun game, a fun, a fan made game that was like some sort of conversational game. I don't think he finished it, but he put on some screenshots. And I remember when I saw it, I was like, wow, I'd like to work, in a conversational game for a space or, it's never thought about it. Like it actually suits the IP so well, like the different characters. And I think you could have like romantic interactions with Lycos or something like that. Or at least that was the idea. So that was great too. I think the user was called Deadly Ways or something like that. I don't remember the nicknames. I remember the different artworks. And there's been so also like some chibi versions of Mika and super great. And I think there was also like some girl from Eastern Europe. She would do like this little figure of Valeria, and it was also like a really cute, chibi like body proportions. I really like that one too. There's so many though. There's so many things that I saw that really impressed me. So yeah, it's crazy.
All right. Yeah. Of course, my chat's complaining about my audio levels because there's gonna be like feedback loops and stuff like that.
Okay.
So y'all have to apologize. I have to apologize, obviously, because the quality is questionable. I don't have a good great setup here, so I do the best I can, Claude. But thank you very much for your as always your very apt critique. Yeah, that's yeah, definitely the Hive thing is. I think Hive's one of the real standout characters, and she makes an impression on a lot of people, and henceforth,
Mm.
their art tends to make impressions on other people. I mean, it probably doesn't hurt that she's not as clothed as some other characters are, but
But
since
it
it is
sounds
a typically
to
more
some
mature
degree,
audience.
it's also like way less sexual or erotic, right? Because it's not like like
No,
a
I think she actually
of
strikes a really good
meeting women.
balance. Honestly,
So
like
it,
it's hard to do that. Like to do a character that is not what you would think, and then just be like, well, she's kind of naked. Like it's actually not too hard to pass off. All right, so here's another tricky question for you. So I think you guys have had some kind of cycling. I suspect. I don't know for sure. Over time, because you guys have been working on Raiders slash Space Lords for several years now, which may be a surprise to some people just finding it now, thinking it's only been out for a certain amount of time. So how long have you personally been at Mercury Steam and I guess possibly working on this game?
Yeah, I think well, I'm not totally sure because I have like super bad memory, but I think I've been here for like 7 or 8 years now. I think it's seven though. I think I'm adding some extra months mistakenly. And when I joined the team, I was hired as a gameplay or logic programmer for the project Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2. I remember when I joined, they showed me like the first bit of the game. They had like the first stage that was like crazy, super cinematic. There's like this huge titan thing that you're battling against, and that's when I joined the team. I'm pretty sure it was like the beginning of the production phase, and then like 3 years afterwards, because I worked in the game, then I work in the DLC for the game. And back in the day, like some of my colleagues were already working in this new project, and then I got moved to Raiders, that later became Spacelords. So yeah, I've been during the whole Raiders slash Spacelords era. I've been working in Spacelords. I think it's like for 5 years now, something like that. It's kind of hard to tell because when you shift from one project to another, sometimes it's not like a binary thing, like you start like programming little tasks on this new project, and then it's not like from one day to the other they just change you from one project to the other. But yeah, and afterwards I became a technical game designer. Maybe after pre-production for Raiders, we felt like we needed some more technical based design members. So I was the first programmer to join the design team, and then a few more came in whenever we needed help. So yeah, that's my trajectory here in Mercury's team.
All right, so where am I? All right, so here's the fun part. Here's what some people might enjoy hearing about. So I'm going to mine you for information about the
Perfect.
future. I already told
Okay.
you a glimpse at the future. Great Sugar Wars is very important. Don't forget it. So, is there anything worldwide reveal, very small scale, not really worldwide reveal, but kind of like that. Any future updates or teases or anything that you would like to throw out there at this at this given time? Ooh.
You okay, mate? Don't die on me like that.
Oh, I'm
So,
dying. This question is hard to ask. So go ahead. Any information you were able to glean that you were given permission to reveal to us that we don't already know, maybe.
yeah, there may be a couple of things that I can reveal. I'm not like 100% sure they haven't already been revealed somehow, because like it's really confusing for me because there are so many streams that I don't take part in and they reveal some details. But I'm pretty sure we already teased some changes in the melee combat that will be happening when the Epic Forge update kicks in. And I guess I could go into a bit more detail then. It's like when it comes to melee actions in Space Lords, there are like three basic actions. Like you have like the strike, the dodge, and the grapple. So the thing is that the grapple is being drastically changed. So what used to happen when you grapple someone won't happen anymore, so to say. So I think it sounds maybe like a bit of a small change, but it's actually like a huge game changer. If you if you can start to imagine what I'm talking about, grapple not behaving as a grapple anymore, then you can realize, okay, maybe the game is going to change quite a bit. And another thing that I'm not sure we've been teased already or not, because I really don't know, but Yeah, the thing is that the radar that we introduced like a while ago, when it comes to when the Epic Forge comes gets implemented into the game, it will be a more useful tool and a more customizable tool, so to say. So you will be able to change the radar radius, uh, to fit your taste. And in my case, as a shooter player, for me it's like super useful. I know some people really don't use radars, even when they are able to to maximize its radius. But for me, it's like super important when it comes to a tactical approach. Maybe I'm the antagonist, and I need a way higher radius, in order to know where the raiders are and try to figure out where is it that they are coming from. So these are two small details that are not so small, especially the middle one. The middle one is quite drastic.
Yeah, those are actually that's some neat stuff. So some changes to the grapple and some adjustments or customization to the. It's funny how close Raider and Radar sound to each other. So there was some confusion. So they're like Raider. At first, that's how I heard it too. I was like Raider radius. What? So it's
No, sorry. Raiders,
all kinds of confusion.
same word. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I think I straightened that out once I got the gist of where you were going with it. I was like, oh, he's talking about the radar that we get the little
The little
the,
circle thing
the
that have
little
in the
not mini map, but the little indicator of sort of like from Aliens where you get the little dots and stuff that tell you where things are associated to you or in
oh yeah,
relation to you. So that range is
that's
going to be customizable, basically.
when the Epic Forge kicks in, it will be customizable. And the funny thing about it is that we thought about this feature like for a long time ago, and it's like we never got it to fit into any of the updates. And when we were readying the Epic Forge, it wasn't initially planned to be sticked into that system, but somehow we brought it back. And this is something that it's mainly, it depends on your taste as a player. Some players really don't like radars. Actually, the radar, I don't know how to pronounce it really. The radar, it's actually, you can disable it from the menu just in case it bothers you. But in my case, when it comes especially to higher radius radars, for me it's like super super useful. I mean, for me it's way easier to play with a radar like that. So yeah, some of the points that you can assign in the Epic Forge, you can use it to boost your radar, and
That I
I don't
mean
know,
that could
it's
be
I
interesting.
enjoy it.
That I trying to think of how that could be used, but I mean I could definitely see that being useful in some way to like ping people if you're playing like more stealthy and you're more tactically, especially
Even
for
though, I mean, stealth is like one really obvious case. If you're a stealthy kind of player, it's super obvious that it's useful for you. But there are so many others. Like if we are speaking about really high radiuses, sometimes it's like you realize that a new ship came with a lot of foes, that just came into the scenario, and you realize mainly because there's like a lot of, distant dots in the radar. You don't have to turn around. You don't have to, see the Aleph signatures through the walls. You can keep performing whatever you were doing. Maybe you were overloading this reactor over here, and then you realize, oh, some new enemies spawn like in the other side of the map. So it's like some extra information that I think that maybe like newcomer players won't be so much interested. Like they are still, since they are still getting into the different systems of the game. But I think like veteran players, in my case, for instance, I feel like super useful. Once I get like a longer range radar, I really cannot. I really don't want to go back. I mean, and yeah, that's one of the really basic customizations that the Forge will bring in that I think we never commanded before. I think so.
Yeah, I don't think I heard anything about that. So yeah, that's probably some new information that I don't know that I don't know where that sits with people because I know some people it was all over the place. Some people were like neutral on it, some people didn't use it, and then some people really liked it and they liked using it. So it ran the full gamut. I feel like everybody had their own opinion on it because it was it was just one of those features that probably just more fit the individual than anything else. So customization, as far as like individuality goes, is a definitely a good thing. And of course, that's going to be a big factor with the Epic Forge because you're gonna have a lot more control over how your weapons are performing on a much more personal level. Because I was always really critical of it because it was very simple, basic components on how you built your weapons, and so we tended to build the same types of weapons often. So there wasn't much diversity there.
Yeah, you're
Uh,
right. The thing is that we used, back in the day, really old times, right now, ancient times I'm speaking about, we used to have this idea that each one of the weapons should be like a side grade, like a different, weird, unexpected thing every time you would get a weapon. But the thing is that at the beginning there was like no progression implemented. So when we got into the third campaign of the game, the Hades Division one, we really got into the idea of, oh, we have to make some kind of forging system so that people can upgrade the different weapons that each one of themselves that are more like side grades. It's like upgrading each one of the side grades. But it was obviously like not super deep. I mean, it was just like the beginning of something. And sometimes the thing is that there were so many things that we had to take care about when it came to the game, so many different aspects and elements that had to be improved or changed, that the Epic Forge was kind of like far away in the roadmap. But I'm really glad that we are already there, because now I think that more aspects of the game, such as weapon crafting and putting points here and there and customizing weapons, more customization over upgrading, more this kind of philosophy that, oh, I really don't like this epic feature, so I'm really trying to get points for this other one. And it's not necessarily better, but it enables a play style that I enjoy more. So that's the thing. And I think it's great that we are already there, because we definitely received some criticism when it came to that, and we knew the Epic Forge would kind of solve many of those problems. But we have to go one step at a time. I'm ready.
Hang on. All right, let me redo that a little bit. I had my mic off. All right, so um, antagonist. There's been a lot of changes, and antagonist has been affected by a lot of these changes as well over time. And we got the Master of Puppets update, which I jokingly call the Master of Muppets. Um, and so I know a lot of people are really curious about this, and I'm personally curious about this. Where where do you see like the antagonist mode like fitting into the whole final scheme, if that's even possible to kind of project, because we can kind of get an idea. We're almost like an elite. It feels like we're there, but I feel like we're kind of like I don't know, like the role is shrunk a bit, and we're kind of I don't know how to put it, but I feel like there's more changes, and it's not where it's finally gonna be. I don't know if you can talk about this so much, but But it's been a deep curiosity to me because I messed around with the antagonist mode over the years, and it kept changing and changing and changing. So I had to keep making adjustments and trying to keep up with the times. Exploding Aleph, not exploding Aleph. All these little fun things that have popped up here and there.
It's a really difficult question,
It
actually.
is a difficult question.
The antagonist play mode, so to say, is always gets always affected by many of the subtle changes that we do that doesn't necessarily uh they're not necessarily aimed towards the antagonist mode. Like as you said, like the whole, when Aleph became gems and James became explosive, and then now gems are back again when elites spawn, just like that. The thing is that each one of those changes, it always ends up affecting the antagonist, the way that they behave. The unlimited ammo was another one of the changes that we knew that would change radically the way that you approach being an antagonist. So the thing is that overall, there's been like I think we have been shifting clearly to a less restrictive or it's hard to put it in words, to a more flexible way of approaching the way you play the mode. Like back in the day, some of the blueprints you could only get by playing antagonist mode, and we took that out. And we had affinity that was also linked to talent acquisition. We took that out, and we because back in the day we felt like we had we felt like maybe the antagonist mode should be incentivized. I don't want to say in English, incentivado. Maybe like we felt we should give like some extra sexiness to it, and sometimes the sexiness would be actually like perceived as a way of forcing. Many people would complain like, I want this talent card, but I really don't like the antagonist mode. And we felt like, yeah, there's like different pools of players. Some of them enjoy playing as an antagonist, some of them they really don't. So at the end of the day, I feel like we've been striving for a higher flexibility and a less restrictive approach to it. Like now you don't have to gather ammo, so you don't have to engage into melee. So now that you don't have to engage into melee, like new options arise. Of course, that's also bad for the antagonist because now the raiders don't have to go to gather ammunition either. But somehow, we kept taking restrictions out. And the thing is that I was saying at the beginning of my answer, this is a really difficult question to answer. Why? Because now with the Epic Forge, a lot of new options arise. It's not just about the raider; it's about the way that you can deal damage, or the way that you can, the play styles that you can unlock. It's like changing in a way that, as always, it will affect more the antagonist in some unexpected ways sometimes, but some other ways are not so unexpected. Like as I told you before, like a higher radius radar, it's a feature that's usually way more valuable for an antagonist when you have to have a clear vision of where is each one of the raiders positioned in the map. So everything affects everything to a certain degree, right? That's one of my most famous quotes. So when it comes to the antagonist, that's especially true. So I feel like even though we strive for a higher flexibility, when the Epic Forge kicks in, we'll have to go back to the data gathering sessions that we always do, and go back to the feedback gathering sessions, and go back to even watch live streams and watch matches and see a little bit of what happens like in the big picture, because it's kind of difficult to say uh, where it will be fitting in this playable mode. One thing's for sure, it won't. We are not planning for it to go back to a more restrictive way of approaching it. Right now, what we really hope is that right now people that's playing antagonist mode, we hope they only play it because they really want it. Like the only thing that's really linked to the antagonist mode at the moment when it comes to rewards are the monthly rewards. And when it comes to monthly rewards, you can just play just like a few matches every month in order to get, this skin or whatever that you are striving to achieve. So that's for sure. That's for sure. But besides that, it's a really uh, be difficult to tell for me because something that I might say now may drastically change after the Epic Forge kicks in. So I'm more expectant, to in order to uh, gather information and try to see how everything changes. Maybe at the end of the day, it won't change that much after the Epic Forge, but I think it's better to wait a little bit and see how it really affects each one of the roles in the game.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, obviously, it's we're right on the cusp of another big change. It's kind of hard to say like because I could see how things are today, but I've been the in that moment where things are one way today, and then tomorrow they're a very different way, and I have to rethink a lot of stuff. So that's fair enough. That is a very difficult question to answer. Even when people ask me about antagonists from my own perspective, it's a tricky thing because it has changed. I mean, over time, it's changed a lot. I mean, we started out with stigmas, and then like you said, you went through the affinity system and talents or cards specifically assigned to them. So there's been a lot of different things that have been associated with antagonists besides the whole PvP aspect of it, which obviously is a given because it is a PvP type of thing. Um, so
I think the main approach that we took, and I think you will agree with me, we tried to tone down the initial competitive approach that it had, even though it's still PvP. The stigma thing was like super, super punitive, super restrictive. The way that you would get the note score back in the day playing as an antagonist was way more harsh. You would get really extremely low scores when you would lose, or even winning. Sometimes it would be like, wow, that's super low. And it was like super divisive. Like the raider mode was like super uh, like newcomer friendly, while the antagonist mode was extremely stressing. So, like as I told you before, like super different kind of players that we had mixed in there. Even though that's still it still somehow remains a little bit of that thing because it's still super. I mean, when I play antagonist, it's still super stressing for me. Sometimes when I end up a match, I'm like my heart is beating super fast. When I play as a raider, everything's like super smooth. Even when I lose, I'm like, okay, we lost. I hate that grant or like thing or whatever. But okay, but it's like way like I couldn't care less in a way. Maybe it's because of my own experience with the game. For I've been playing it for so many years now that maybe I became accustomed to some degree to losing as a raider and to losing differently, to feeling differently when losing as a raider or as an antagonist. But I think we have softened the whole situation so much more, so that even people who mainly enjoy playing as a raider can try antagonists, maybe try just once a month or so, not and maybe losing miserably, but saying, okay, it's a great thing, or maybe I got my score a little up, or maybe I got this reward over here, and it's okay like that. And actually, I don't want to spoil more things, but when the Epic Forge comes in, like there's like to some degree, I really cannot talk about it, but to some degree there's some extra softenings to that kind of huge difference that comes to when you're playing as an antagonist or as a raider. Maybe it's just really subtle things, but at the end of the day, sometimes better run players, they realize more about subtle changes, over the most obvious ones that are like, oh, I immediately get it. That feature over here changed. But yeah, I'm really not ready to go into that. Sorry, I'm
no,
really
no,
not
no,
trying
you're fine. Yeah, that's
because
a
somehow
tricky question. I knew this would it's one of those It's like, here's a bee's nest and just smash it open. So yeah, I had to throw in something in there that would obviously the antagonist mode comes up a lot with the game and all kinds of discussions. So we know you have a lot of cups. this is like the most this is like the most meme worthy thing that's associated with you is cups and all manner of things associated with cups. So how many cups is too many cups? And do you have any fondness for they're called Russian nesting dolls, and they're like cups, but they fit inside of each other, so they're, I don't know, maybe you can, they're also like cups.
I never owned like actual nesting dolls, but I remember when I was little, I think like my mother or someone at my place, at my parents' place, had some nesting dolls or something. I always thought they were kind of creepy. Actually, I'm more into cups. I guess cups are like the mainstream version of nesting dolls because they are like different sizes and such. But I don't know, they look like less menacing to me for some reason. But yeah, I don't know, the whole cup thing, like for some reason, and I totally swear all the cups that I displayed so far are mine. It's not like I go, like around the office, like asking for cups to my colleagues. All of those cups are mine. And the thing is that I never realized how many different kind of cups I had until we were like streaming. And we had this. The thing is that when we started streaming here, like summers in Spain, especially Madrid, are super crazily hot. And this room that we had, that we prepared over here, we were like sweating all the time, like even when we were just performing tests, like before the actual streaming. And then we would like, we need more water. But the thing is that for some reason, maybe it was like a sound reason or something like that, we couldn't have like an actual jar so that we could pour the water, because it's kind of messy, like the sound may come in, or maybe if we drop some water, there's the microphones and so many cables and stuff. So we thought, oh, let's grab like a whole lot of cups and just fill all the cups with water and just keep them like off camera. And the thing is that for some reason, I don't know why, but I have like so many different cups at the office. I kept bringing them from my place, but I keep forgetting that they are here. So I had, I don't know, like 4 or 5 or 6 different kind of cups. I don't even understand why I have so many cups. I live alone, you know what I mean? I really don't get it. I think most of the cups are like weird presents from people that don't know what to give me as a Christmas present or something. So they just give you cups. I don't know. So yeah, at the end of the day, it became like apparent that people were like kind of surprised because of the cup thing. So we went a bit further and we grabbed like some huge, cooking thing. I don't know how to say it in English. Like this, how do you say this huge thing that you prepare soups on it, in it? I don't know, this metal thing. I don't know, like huge cup like thing. I don't know how to say that. Like a bowl? I don't know. Is that called a bowl?
Oh, I'm not really sure, but yeah, definitely. I mean, if I asked like just a random person that knows of you, like what is one of the more memorable things? I think the cups come up. I think the cups come up a lot. It's it's
So yeah,
it's
it became kind of like a joke. So we went
you
along with
you you could have a cup in one hand and a guitar in the other, and I think that could be that, that could be, you could try playing guitar with a cup instead of like a pick. It could become
maybe
a
I
new
thought
thing.
never thought about it, but yeah, I can totally try it. It's like the best of both worlds, right? Mix on one single thing. But yeah,
And then over time, like maybe because of all these cups, like you sound like you're slowly but surely overcoming your fear of the Russian nesting dolls. Because yeah, you said that those they kind of freaked you out, but now they don't freak you out so much because you're like, well, they're kind of like cups now that I think about it. So maybe they're not so scary. It's like when people get used to spiders, they don't like them at first, and then they're like, well, they do something, so they're not so bad.
I mean, yeah, I'll try to see the nesting dollars cups next time I encounter some. I'm pretty sure it will help me, overcome my fears. Thank you. Never thought about it.
All right, so we're gonna wrap this up because I know your lunch is coming up, right? You're really gonna get hungry after all this energy you just burnt off, and this new experience that you have had, all these new experiences you get to have with the Space Lords community, and I appreciate it, and I hope all the people that watch my stream right now are appreciating it too, because it's not easy to get you all to just stop in and do something like this. It's in fact I imagine pretty difficult because you're working right now. More or less. I mean, so I'm sure there's someone leering at you from the distance, be like, "Is this really work?" It's just like, so I'm gonna leave you with this final question because this is important.
It's really important. Okay, let's go.
How much sugar do you have right now?
You mean like inside my system right now?
You know what? You can answer that question however you like, but that is because of course the importance of sugar. It's coming. This great frenzy for sugar. So you take stock of it. How much do you think you have right now? Like you use whatever measurements you prefer.
Not. I mean, I think I only had like here in Madrid is like 1 p.m. right now. I think I only had like this little sugary thing because like it was like someone's birthday today, so he brought like some like candy stuff. That's like the only sugar that I had. I don't know. Somehow like I became like a boring adult suddenly, and I don't enjoy sugar as much as I did before. I'm more into salty things. I'm sorry. So yeah, I don't know. I may lose the sugar wars, but I think I may win the salt wars. Yeah, I don't know. Whenever they come, I'm ready for that.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, at least you got those candies. You could like throw them away from you and use them as like a minor distraction, and then and just prepare yourself for the great salt wars. I feel like we're all kind of prepared for that. That's become a bit of well, it's a gaming joke, but it's also like Salt Lords. Mac took real firm grasp of the whole salt thing and just ran with it. So yeah, the salt wars are definitely going to be a thing too. That's probably more like a 2030 kind of thing. After people are just about okay, everything's settling down, and then they're like, oh, but salt. Think of how much salt we could have, and then they'll just go nuts over that too, because that's just how people are. They get one thing, and then they're like, oh, now I want another.
That's me. Yeah.
All right. So thank you very much for coming and answering all my very strange questions. It's been a pleasure. It wasn't easy to. I thought this would be a lot easier than it was to set it up. So I had to downscale it. We were just so you all know, we were gonna have some video in here, but I couldn't figure out how to get it to go into the OBS. It's a little bit more complicated than I thought it was, as it were. So the cute little anime girl. It's obvious that's me. Maybe she had like a beard, maybe perhaps, but this is the technical level that I have achieved, and I hope you all enjoyed it.
Right now, I'm sure it's great. Don't
Yeah,
worry about it.
you'll see. She just she follows my head movements. So she's as I move my head around, she moves her head around too, and she blinks just like crazy amounts of blinking. and, um, and she picks up like every little tiny bit of audio. So it's something. It's like really bad puppeteering, but in that way, it's very funny. So thank you very much for coming. We'll see about doing this again. Hopefully, I'll be a lot more organized next time and have a little bit more technical prowess. And so we might actually be able to get some video feed in here. But still, I appreciate it. We're a little bit shy of a J stream, but that's okay. Usually he has multiple people, so I mean he has ways to stretch it out. And I did cut some questions, but I think it was a good it was a good time, and I definitely, like I said, I appreciate you coming and doing all this for us. It was more in fun than anything else. I really hope nobody thought this was going to be too super serious. We have a lot of super serious conversations sometimes, and I think we forget that we're playing video games. We're trying to have fun. We're trying to like geez, just sort of get along in a not so serious space, because life is super serious, and it's good to get away from that, and think about things like the Great Sugar Wars, the eventual Great Salt Wars, things
Yeah,
like
don't
of this
forget about
nature.
Star Wars.
What cups to get next, or
Right. Christmas
maybe
is coming.
maybe tell relatives ahead of time. Maybe not a cup this time. Maybe some other kind of
Some
dispensary
glasses,
item, like a bowl or something like that.
teapot or
Maybe a
something.
nice spoon or. So, I have a lot of cups right now. So
Christmas is around the
it's been
corner,
good
so
times, and I
I might back from Christmas with a huge cup. Who knows?
yeah, it's huge.
Really hope I don't, but my family, who knows?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Some Matryoshka doll or something like that. Some Russian doll could be great.
There you go. Yes, tell them. Yeah, maybe you have this curiosity about what the Russian nesting dolls, which I might have planted in there a little bit. So yeah, I appreciate it. I hope you have a good lunch and rest of your work day. I know how hard it is to
The
just
viewers, thank you so much for
just
having
keep
me.
going and plugging along, and we'll just be here for a little bit longer. And yeah, thank you for hanging out with us and doing all this craziness. And hopefully you'll guys will keep at it. And it's been interesting. It's definitely been interesting. It always gives us something to talk about.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much for to both you and your viewers, and thank you for having me. It's been a great time.
All right,
So,
yeah, I'm
hey, have
letting
a
you
nice
go.
day.
Boop, boop. All right, so there you guys go. For those of you that didn't catch it, because it was a see, if I take off my glasses, check this out. If I take off my glasses, I can't see shit, but suddenly she works a lot better. She stops twitching like crazy, because this is how it's supposed to work. These motion detection stuff that does not like the glasses on my face. It's not a fan of visually impaired people, at least not those that don't wear contacts. So I appreciate you all coming, and the apparent interest. I wasn't really sure how much interest you guys would have in something like this. It was just some kind of a brainchild I had, and I ran with it, and I was trying to see what I could accomplish along those lines. And again, this was more for fun than anything else, but there was some good information in there. We did glean a little bit more that we didn't know about the grapple. The grapple thing is probably gonna circulate around a little bit, I imagine. That interests me to find out what's going on with that. I'm not sure if that means we're not gonna have one hit grapples anymore. That's possible. It's a possibility, but it could mean some other stuff. So I guess we're just gonna have to see. But that the grapples changing at all could be very huge, because that's always been a pretty particular thing as far as how the gameplay is affected, because it's the equivalent of a one shot kill with a bullet was the grapple. So any change to that is actually a very big gameplay change, or potentially a very big gameplay change. Yeah, it's definitely, we're gonna have to make adjustments, like no doubt about that. And that's how things are typically gonna go. We're gonna see these changes. Where I never really particularly like to define things as good or bad so much as they're different, because you could take anything as a good or bad thing. It's all in your perspective. But this is definitely going to be that sounds to be different, and it was a nice bit of information, aside from the radar thing, which I'm not really sure like how to do that, because I think they did I don't know if they phased it out or I just don't notice it anymore. But that's going to be something interesting. I know I'm wondering if people are going to use it, because I felt when the Aleph first came out and the whole throwing thing, the dropping, all of the stuff to do with the Aleph, I didn't know how much people were going to use it. And we all kind of joked about it. And then I look at like how people are playing the game now, and they're definitely using it, and they're definitely finding more interesting ways to use it. And there's I guess you could say techniques that have risen out of this, because like you're down and some people are going after you, and you just dump all your Aleph, like you just dump all of it, and you hope you kill them. And that didn't exist before. You would just shoot them. And if you couldn't shoot them because you had to reload, you really didn't have much an option there. You couldn't really defend yourself. You were kind of just like waiting to get killed. So we'll see. We'll see. It's too soon to say anything. Everybody always wants my opinion, of course, before these things even hit the ground. And obviously, I can't give any real opinion on something that I haven't tried out, especially for at least like a week or two, to see like how it really feels in the scope of things. Because some things might feel awkward, or they might not make much sense. And I might try a character, like one maybe I don't typically play. And because I try that character that's out of my own particular personal space, it may change my perspective. Because maybe with this particular, like Guardian did that for Schneider for me. It really made me look at Schneider as a more serious character, because obviously I don't take him as seriously as I do some other characters, but there are only a few characters I really take seriously. So that actually put him in a place where I felt like he could be a lot more tactical in the same way that Mika is. And that surprised me, that I was starting to think again about, well, how can I use this, and what am I doing wrong, and like I want to be at least decent with the Guardian, and I think that's good. That's exactly where I want things to be with something that's being introduced, because it gives you room to grow. And with Schneider, my biggest problem with him is that I didn't feel like there was any room to grow. Like, I felt like I had seen everything that anybody could do with him, and it just didn't seem to be changing. Like, I didn't seem to see anything new. And even with some characters that I at times I'm not too fond of, like Doldrin, I saw growth. I saw people do interesting things that I didn't know you could do. Mika, of course, was one of those characters as well. So there was definite growth there. So I'm hoping they don't change the Guardian too much. This is just personal babbling. But I mean, if they do, I guess we'll have to live with that. The only change I wanted to really see, or I would even suggest, is I would leave mostly the same and just make it so you can maybe shoot a little bit faster when you don't have the drone out, like just shooting the gun itself, because it is a very slow shot. But there could be applications for that. Like there's talents that work where if you shoot someone and then you punch, you do more damage. So something like that. You don't need to shoot a lot, because you're really just tagging someone to set yourself up for a harder melee hit. But anyways, so I'm gonna cut this off roughly around an hour. It's been really cool. I so much appreciate everybody that was able to show up. Like I said, I was super surprised that anybody was even remotely interested in coming to see this. I wasn't even sure I was gonna announce it, because it was such a little almost side project of mine, I could say, and I just sort of dragged Jewel into it, obviously. So you guys can't imagine how stressful that could be for him and for myself to be in that random like situation. But it's fun, and hopefully we can do it again. This is not a normal format for me, so I don't know if I would do this again so much is like obviously I feel like I need to do some changes before I do this again, because the audio especially is tricky. It's not so easy to get your audio levels right when you have two people talking potentially at any given time. It's very easy to, especially with my very chintzy setup, to catch audio and have it feed back in. So my apologies for that. The audio is not going to be fantastic on this. Hopefully y'all can hear him. And I tried to make it a little bit more of a concerted effort to mute myself so it was easier to hear him. But yeah, I don't know what to tell you if it doesn't turn out great. This was ultimately still an experiment. But as far as I can tell, y'all seem to be able to hear him okay, and you seem to be able to hear me okay. Which is fine. I'm satisfied with that. I have a very low bar. As long as y'all can make out what we're saying, I think that's the most important thing. And I only managed to mute myself on accident and not remove the mute just the one time, which is pretty good for me. As you know, I like to walk off. I like to walk off levels on accident and things like that. Old people do, because we get very distracted by all kinds of like the little dots in the air that no one else can see, that leads us off the edge of a cliff. This is gonna be it. Normally I would do some kind of a raid or something of that nature, and maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll fire up the Discord. No, I'll send you all somewhere with some actual gameplay. Maybe. Is that even possible? I'll send you all somewhere with some actual. Maybe. Darksiders Genesis. What is that? Alright, so we'll just do Fextra Life. Yeah. I did two streams in a shorter period of time. It's a lot for me. And I did do a decently long shift for me. I'm not as sturdy as I'd like to be. So I'm gonna send you guys and gals and whatnot to Fextra Life, and they are playing Darksiders Genesis. I think this is the new. I'm not 100% sure, but I think this is the new one where you can play as all the different characters together. Like, it's sort of like a Diablo-esque game, but you have the different characters from the series to play. And of course, what was it? Strife. Strife was never playable. So this is the first and only time that we're able to play Strife. If this is what I think it is. So, here we go.